Game started.
Okay, hey, I'm white. Let's see, I had e4 last time, so I'll play d4. I'm playing Esther from the United Kingdom. Okay, d4, e6. And I had a e4, d6 game, so it's only fair I should get a d4, e6 game. So I could play e4 and transpose into a French defense, or allow that if he plays d5. And he does. Okay, so I like to play with knight c3 and allow the win hour variation if he wants it. And if he plays the knight to f6, I play e5, and this is known as the classical line of the French defense. And this is the main idea, which is white defends with the f-pawn first before moving the knight out, and then black counterattacks the d-pawn, and white has to struggle to defend it. So black gets good counterattacking chances in this game, in this line. And another idea is queen to b6, or sometimes there's a trade first on developing the bishop. Those are the two plans I've seen here. There's a funny line here where black can sack a knight for some pawns, and but when he trades like this, I don't think that's the line we're going for. Oh, and he developed the bishop to e7. That's a very modest developing move. Okay, but let's not be fooled. These things can get tricky. Thing is, this pawn here is undefended, the b pawn, so queen b6 is often a double attack. It's useful to get the queen to d2 to defend this bishop, so the knight can move with tempo on the queen if the queen goes to b6. And my other bishop can go to d3 now. Now the question is, do I want to let him get away with that move? f5. I can take en passant and then try to argue that he's got a backwards e-pawn that'll become weak. And also he's behind in development, it seems, a little bit. But neither side is castled yet. But I could castle. I think I will do that. See how he retakes. Takes with the bishop. Okay, so when he retakes with the bishop, that means I can't develop my bishop to d3 like I want. I could put my bishop here on b5, pinning his knight, but he can harass it with the pawn moves, so it won't stay there. So my plan is to put my bishop here on e2, allow him to trade if he wants, and then I'm just going to castle, try and keep this strong f-pawn, and then try and bring pressure against the e-pawn here. And keeping the e-pawn backwards helps keep his light-squared bishop out of the game, which is another part of the strategy here. So I can play things like rook a to d1. He can advance on the queen side and bring his bishop out this way, which is probably a good plan for him. And I could at some point take this bishop, I suppose, but not here. The other move, besides the routine developing move, is I could think of bringing my knight out to a4 and then to b5. But he can just trade it off there, a4, b5, or even, c5 or b6. c5 or b6 would be good squares. But this knight here puts a stop to all that. So let's just get the get the rook there where I want it. So let's see, can I get the knight to a good square? This bishop on e2, maybe knight to e2 to You know, actually, knight to f3 would be a good square to get it to. But how do I get there? I go back. Okay, I'm going to try rearranging my pieces. Let's see if I have enough time. It's not obvious that this is a very slow plan, and it's not obvious that I have enough time for it. And I have undefended this pawn momentarily, but the queen is attacking it, the rook is defending it. This rook is also potentially attacking it. But if he takes the bishop, yeah, so he goes there with the knight. That's okay. I think that's okay. I have to go here with the queen. To keep defending my bishop. Okay, what other things can black try here? That's the trouble with slow plans. It gives your opponent time to come up with ideas. But now, okay, the knight has defended this pawn. I could take the knight and then grab the pawn. No, the bishop is defending that pawn. I am threatening just to take that knight. I guess that's the main threat I have at this point. Okay, so he takes my bishop. It stops that threat. Everything is now defended. But I've also defended my pawn, which is what I was worried about. And now he's getting to develop his light squared bishop. So, and I can't immediately play any knight move because this c pawn is undefended. So if I move the knight, takes, where could I even move it to? I guess his knight is still in the way. So if I move the knight, it's not going anywhere. Let's just put pressure on that e pawn. So now I have two attackers on it, and he's got two defenders. But that kind of ties those pieces down. Okay, pulls up another defender. All very logical. So I'm going to drop back down to this square, defending my c pawn. Keeping an eye on the f-pawn, and I'm going to try and move my knight somewhere. You know, now the knight has another square to go to. It could go to e2 and then to d4. And also I want to play the move c3 here to make this a pawn that I don't have to defend anymore. I'm tired of having to worry about that pawn. And yes, he can play that annoying move. So if I retreat the queen, the knight has squares here, 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 or back here, back here, back here, back here. So let's go back this way. You might just leave that knight there. It's a good outpost for the knight. But I still want to play c3 and knight d4 and try and get a good outpost for my knight. And you just have to keep an eye on these dark squares here that he doesn't get some leverage on him. Yeah, so here's the problem. He can play queen to b6 or a7 or even c5 with a check. And
check.
Yeah. Now if I move the king out of the way, then the knight comes to here with check, and I pretty much have to sack the exchange. So this forces move like this. Queen to d4. A little bit unfortunate, but I don't see any other choice here. If he trades queens, I get my knight to that square I wanted to, and he still has this backwards pawn. So maybe this is not the end of the world for me. I was just kicking myself for not spotting that, because that's the kind of thing. If you don't notice these things, that can cause trouble. That can be trouble. So now, maybe I just want to trade off that knight. I could go bishop, f3, bishop takes knight. And my knight is defending the f-pawn, so that would still work. I wouldn't hang a pawn. What's his plan? So his knight is still hitting these 4 squares in my camp. This one, this one, this one, this one, but they're all guarded. He could come to this square. Knight to f6 is probably a good square for that knight. But he put his rook there. But that has its own ideas. You may be thinking of doubling. So, but I am going to get rid of the knight first, because that's too big a threat to leave there, I've decided. And I could try trading it off with the knight, but I was thinking the bishop would be fine too. Okay, so I'd just soon get rid of my light squared bishop and have a bad bishop against a good knight. But, okay, it's not to be. Now, can I push a pawn? He can get this square here now. I'm going to drop back here and again try and get my knight to d4. Put more pressure on this pawn, and so it's currently got 3 defenders, but 2 of them are rooks. There he goes again. Okay. On those dark squares again. He's got another check, huh? So check, king to the corner, knight to here, attacks this rook, and attacks the light squares. But that doesn't appear fatal, it looks like. I can just move my rook to g1. Check. Yeah. There he goes again. I could have played, instead of that, I could have played knight to d4. So, but if he plays knight e3, I have to play rook g1, but then I can play knight d4. Okay, let's play this immediately so he doesn't have this. That's a pawn sack, huh? So knight knight c4, rook takes f4, knight takes e6, bishop takes e6. Rook takes e6, queen takes e6, so it's defended by the queen, so Very annoying. Okay. I want to kick that knight again. And if he goes to e3 here, I'm going to play rook, rook g1 and knight to knight to d4 and see if his knight is trapped there. It's probably not trapped. Yeah, it has a good square to go to, but I can get my knight to g4 here. I guess, yeah, I'm still holding on to this pawn with my knight. So it's not until I play knight to d4 that this pawn hangs, and he can't take it because he's got to save the knight first. And I did create a weakness over here, but you know, it's one of those lesser of evil choices. I had to do something about that knight. At least it seemed to me I had to do something about that knight. So this pawn here on g2 is well defended, so he can't just threaten to win it. Bishop and rook are protecting it. He's got f1, he's got d1, he's got c2, where he can go with the knight. Are all covered. He can come back here. He can't go there. He can come back here. Can't go there. So when I threaten his knight, I guess this is the only square he can go to. And I could trade it off. And then shore up these pawns. And he goes there right away. Okay. Now he has the idea of, say, putting a rook on the h-file and then playing knight to g3, which would be an embarrassing mate. So let's get rid of that knight. I'm sorry, the knight is too dangerous. And this is a pawn sack here because he's going to win that pawn. Maybe another one too. Tisk tisk. See, that leaves the f-pawn undefended. Well, insufficiently defended. Yeah, he has a choice. He can also take the d-pawn. So he goes there first, yeah, because he can get this pawn second. Now, do I have any counterattack here? How funny. Usually there is some compensation in these kind of situations. I'm just going to pile up on this pawn. I can't even defend that one, so I'm just going 2 pawns down. But this is kind of a weak pawn. So let's see if I can just pile everything on it. So 1, 2, I can get the queen on it and the bishop. And I have to be careful about the mate threat here. I have 2 pieces on the back rank, and he has 2 pieces on that square if I move the bishop out of the way, which is sufficient to defend. But if he were to get his queen in line to attack that, then I would be in trouble. In fact, I might even want to play h3 just to give my king some air here, so I don't have that back rank mate problem. Okay, so he has given me a little breathing room by no longer doubling on the f-file. Where can I go? I think this square, this square, this square are all covered. And this square. Does not seem that useful. It's kind of nice to stay on this diagonal where I'm threatening the rook. So, but I don't see how I can threaten his pieces here, huh? I can come this way. This is a very risky kind of move, but sometimes you need to counterattack. It's risky because I'm leaving my back rank under defended. But I do have ideas of I can't take that. I had the idea of coming to this square e7, threatening his back rank, but I don't have that. But now I can get to this square e2, which is maybe a good square to triple up here. Ah! Oh, how unfortunate. So I can take the queen, but then this rook comes down. I can take the rook with check. And then take the queen. Okay, so I'm just a pawn down now, and my king can walk out and get active, and his pawns are still in a bad way, hemming in his bishop. So even though he has the advantage here, I may be able to pull this off. We'll see. Now, I could bring my rook down to defend that pawn, but that would leave us at the 2 bishops, and it would look pretty good for black. But do I have any choice? So I was thinking I could try a4. But he takes and he gets a passed pawn. So what else? I guess I go after his center pawns. I let him have that pawn, and I attack his pawns. I'd rather go into a rook and pawn endgame rather than a bishop and pawn endgame. There's more drawing chances with the rooks. That's correct. So he defends that guy. What can I do? I need to try and get my rook active, but unfortunately, I just am not seeing it. Okay, I think I have to trade the rooks. So this is still not hopeless. Let's see, I can't approach those pawns easily. And he's got the idea of playing his bishop to b1, attacking this pawn. And if I play this pawn forward, he takes en passant. And my bishop is not in a position to stop it because I can't get to this diagonal. Should have gotten my bishop to that diagonal. So let's see what I got to do. What I have to do is let's play over here. The idea I have is going to c6, taking this pawn with check and defending this pawn, giving up on my a pawn, which appears I cannot hold anyway. And yeah, if he defends, then I have to defend the pawn this way. So I'm going to put my pawns on dark squares so his bishop can't attack them.
Check.
And keep my king on a dark square. And harass his king. That's your basic formula.
Check.
Oh, I can't take that pawn, by the way. If I take it, he pushes here with check, and the bishop defends. So that was kind of unnecessary. I should probably bring my bishop back here. On the other hand, if he puts his king there, then I can take with check and win his bishop. So got to be alert for tactics, even in these simplified positions. Yeah, good. Goes there. Go here.
Check.
Yeah, his bishop is defended. Let's see. If I take, and he takes back, and I move my king to here, my king is still tied up, and his king can invade through this square. So take, king here, king there, play the pawn up. I guess eventually I run out of moves and he comes into this square is what happens. So I think I can't do that. Okay, I can't move my king. I need to keep an eye on this square. I guess I can move my bishop back and forth like this. Now he's in a good position. Yeah. Let's see, if he goes with this pawn, it's check. Then I go there, and then he queens with check. So can I put my bishop on a better square? I don't see it. I think he's beaten me. I think he's got me here. I'm going to resign. All right, good game, Astaire.
White resigns.
I'm going to do a post-mortem video on this game as usual, and I'll see you guys soon. Hope you enjoyed that. Thanks. Bye.